more than $40 million in tourism grants may have booked Minister Kelvin Davis a seat in court with a number of operators unhappy with the way the money has been dished out. The government's named about 80 businesses that have got funding and loans as part of its Strategic Tourism Assets Protection Program, including AJ Hackett-Bungie, Discover Waitomo, Rotorua Zorb and Wellington Zoo, to name just a few. As part of the qualifying criteria, businesses had to be a key attraction, nationally or internationally recognised, generate significant spillover benefits for the region, a region that would be significantly diminished should the business fold. Now, 24 South Island tourism operators are questioning how the money was carved up and are asking for a please explain from the Minister. I asked Fiordland Jet co-owner Chris Adams, what's wrong with the scheme?
Everything's wrong with it. Let me just start by first saying, if you don't mind, that no one in the tourism industry actually started off by asking for handouts. We have good times and bad times, and you soldier on through it. But with this program, it was letting people apply under financial duress, and I don't think too many people could have applied for that.
Why don't you think too many people could have applied?
Well, the criteria was, and remembering we're only 10 weeks into COVID, it looked like the Australian bubble was about to open up back in June when it opened up. It was you had explored every financial avenue. You were a major player in your tourism town, and they were two of the criteria, and very few people, if any, after coming out of a great summer season, could say they'd financially used all their avenues 10 weeks into COVID.
So did you think you qualified?
Absolutely not. One of the things, being a major player based in Te Anau, there are no major players. We're a whole lot of little outfits that stay together to make a town what it is and encourage tourists to come. So, no. And as I said, to exhausted all your financial avenues, did that mean we had to sell our personal house? We just didn't think so, and we didn't think at any stage we were able to apply.
So you're talking about one of the criteria that specified that you should be, well, iconic in essence in your region or abroad, and that you contribute significantly to the broader economy in your region. So based on those, you took a look at yourself and you thought, nah, that's not us, and we haven't exhausted every avenue because we haven't sold our house.
Correct. In my opinion, we are the best and we are the most important tourism business in Te Anau. But no, we definitely couldn't have signed to say that we had exhausted all financial and that we were a major player and significant to the town. All the tourist operators are significant to the town.
So did you apply?
No, we did not apply because it looks like we were too honest.
So what's your beef now then? Because some people will look at this and say if you didn't apply, you should have, because you should have let them decide whether you were eligible for the money or not.
That is a fair point. As I pointed out at the start, we didn't go asking for handouts. So this came along. Not everyone actually was able to have this sent to them or find it. It was open for 14 days. And when we read through it all, you only have one thing in life, and that's your name. And to sign your name to something that we didn't believe we actually ticked all the criteria, we're not in it to do that, and that's not what life's about.
So would you benefit from that assistance? And if you could get it now, would you?
Oh, 100%. So disappointed in ourselves for not applying. And what's now happened is, if no one had got these handouts, we stayed on a level playing field. Now, some of the companies that have got these handouts are a lot smaller outfits than us. Some of them, in one Maori Corporation, they have 1.9 billion, is my understanding, in assets, yet closed down a whole of their tourism operations, laid all their staff off, turned the power off in their workshops, and applied for it, and now going to cherry-pick the season. One in particular is going to start on December the 3rd for the summer season. We have tried to stay afloat. We've tried to keep all our staff on. We've tried to find them a wee bit of outside work where we can to try and keep going, to look after our town, to look after our customers and be there in the future.
So I'm sure you've had a look at the list or know some of the people on the list or organisations that have got the money. Is there any in particular that you take exception to? Is it the big businesses that have got funding that doesn't sit well with you?
Yeah, how, when the government looks at it, have exhausted all financial avenues when they have that many assets. As I said, did we have to sell our own personal house to have done that? smaller operators that were 10 weeks in after having a great summer season, tourism's been outstanding for the last few years, could sign their name to that. They've now got $500,000 each to go in competition to us, and it's a struggle. It's now an uneven playing field.
So there's a couple of other jet operators that have got money. AJ Hackett, is that one that you raise an eyebrow at?
Oh, most definitely. Like, what have they done with their money? How can they sign to that? Like, as I said, all you have in life is your name, and the government, under the rules of the application, can they actually have signed to all those avenues?
What do you need the money for now?
Wages, like the wage subsidy has been outstanding, but we're now finished with that. We aren't going to have an overseas tourist season. Local Kiwis don't do jet boat operations in our one. We are the best operation out there. But Kiwis coming down are only going to do one or two adventure activities, and we just want to survive. We want to be here. Like New Zealand actually has had a great name out of COVID overseas, and I believe once COVID's over, New Zealand will be ready to go. But how many operators will still be able to survive? And we just need to pay our bills day to day.
So what are you going to do then? What's the next step? Because there's a few of you down there, as I understand it, that are not entirely happy with the way this has unfolded. So what's the option for you?
In our case, and as I said in Te Anau, a whole lot of little players, a lot of them are actually significant to the area. We're all significant to the area. So we are looking to see if there is any legal avenue to level the playing field up. As I said, we didn't ask for a handout, but now that they've been given out, we can't compete.
So, Chris, you're talking potentially about a judicial review, are you, to look at the criteria and how people have been funded?
So, look, we're just asking the question. In my case, I have never wrote or rang a member of Parliament before. 3.5 weeks ago, I sent an email to my local parliamentary lady. She sent emails back as like, I want to talk to you personally on the phone. She didn't want to, but in the finish, like, I'm sick of emails that get you nowhere. So she rang up. She was very understanding. I sent an email through official to go to the Minister of Tourism and to the state. The only email I've had back was after 2.5 weeks from some sidekick of his saying they had received my email and would get a reply in due course. Well, we had 2 weeks to reply. They've had now 3.5 weeks, and I haven't even got the decency to give me an answer of why the setup is like it is.
So you're talking to a lawyer instead now?
Yeah, we're just sounding out our options because, as I said, how do we compete with those that got it? And those that got it, in my mind, good luck to them. They can sleep at night that they made all that criteria, and let's have a review. There's a high chance there'll be another COVID come in the future. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again so companies like us aren't left high and dry.
Do you feel in some way, Chris, that you're just keeping your nose above the waterline?
Oh, 100%. Look, we're working really hard to try and attract work incentive groups. Like Te Anau is a wonderful place, but with Auckland and the new level 2.5, we haven't had the numbers down there from Auckland. That's where our population is at the moment. We're just not getting the tourists through. And to let our staff go, they're like family. And to get them back again, we don't want to do that.
So, to sum it up, Chris, do you think this whole funding program has been a misstep by the government? Because businesses got $44 million. That's got to be good for tourism, doesn't it?
Absolutely not. AJ Hackett got $5 million of that. They've had good years. You're not supposed to name names, but that's an example. It's a bit like the wage subsidy. Some of these people that applied for it didn't do through in good faith and how it was set out. And what I'm saying is, with that fund, would they not have been better to give 1,000 operators half, 50,000 each, just something to keep us going, rather than cherry pick 126 operators that now can go out and compete against us?
So while you're naming names, Waitomo Caves, do you think they should have got it?
Oh, look, we could go on who should and who shouldn't have, but is there going to be an inquiry into their financial situation to see if they actually were eligible for it?
You want to see some proof?
I want to see some proof, and heads need to roll. Like, it gets to the stage that some of these people in the middle management of these government departments, they have no skin in the game. There's no accountability, and they've made some companies and they've finished some companies, and they've set rules that most of us didn't apply for.
Is the Tourism Minister Kelvin Davis doing a good job for you?
Minister of who? I ask. No, he hasn't been to Te Anau. Fiordland has been the hardest hit tourism destination in New Zealand, We haven't seen him. I think he's been to Queenstown once in the last few years. What's he doing for us? My answer is absolutely nothing.
And that is Chris Adams from Fiordland Jet.